25 years ago, Porsche was in big trouble. The company was sinking. Sales had fallen from over 50,000 units in 1986 to 14,000 in 1993. Badly affected by the economy, by lower priced competition, and questionable management decisions, there was every chance they would go bust. The company needed a savior, a new product to help them turn things around, and it came in the form of the Boxster. This small mid-engine drop-top sports car was first shown off at the 1993 North American Auto Show in concept form, where it recalled the 550 Spider of the 1950s. It was an instant hit among journalists and the public alike, and lit a fire under the company. From 1996 to 2003, the Boxster was Porsche's best-selling model. By 2007, the company became the most profitable car maker on a per-unit basis. A legend was born, and the company was saved. Fast forward a quarter of a century, and Porsche is paying homage to itself, and I guess the Boxster, with this, a special edition version known as the Boxster 25. This car recognizes the significance of the original Boxster released in 1996 and takes inspiration from the Boxster concept car. Effectively, it's a bit of a greatest hits version of the Boxster with the biggest engine and all the best bits to remind us all of how good this car is. And it's quite timely because I haven't driven a Boxster in about 10 years. So now's the perfect time to remind myself of how good it is and to figure out whether it really is worth celebrating. Let's take a close look at it, shall we? It's basically a normal Porsche Boxster, but with a few little design flourishes sprinkled over it to make it a little bit more special. It's available in either black, white, or this shade of silver designed to mimic the OG car. And it also has the option of either a red roof or a black roof. The roof itself actually has this very lovely Boxster 25 embossed in the top. Notice there are no 718 badges anywhere on this car, which makes sense because the 718 as a concept didn't exist back in the 90s. It's a Boxster through and through, so you get a Boxster 25 badge on the rear. The wheels, well, that's an interesting story. This color is what Porsche calls neodymium, and that's a throwback to the OG car, which also featured neodymium wheels. But this car also has neodymium on the air intakes and neodymium on the front bumper. As another nod to the original Boxster concept, Porsche has been very liberal inside with the use of Bordeaux red leather. That car was positively caked in the stuff, and so's this. Anyone seeking a slightly less in-your-face look might appreciate the option of a black interior with matching black roof, although it's not quite as faithful to the original. Whichever way you go, I still have reservations about whether the new shape works with the old styling. I like the OG Boxster concept, and I also like the new 718 Boxster, but this, the marriage of the two, I don't know, I'm not a fan. Let's talk about the engine, shall we? A lot of people wrongly suggest that the Boxster is a bit of a poor man's 911, but it's not, because the Boxster was the first Porsche to use a production flat-six water-cooled engine. Before that, they were all air-cooled. The first 911 to use a water-cooled engine was the 996. So effectively, you could think of the 911 as a rich man's Boxster. Bit more of a history lesson for you. In 2016, Porsche started using a 2-litre 4-cylinder engine in its Boxster and Cayman cars. Everybody kicked off, but now luckily they've started using a 4-litre naturally aspirated flat-six in its GTS models, and that is the engine that lives in the Boxster 25. It's a brilliant engine as well. It pulls so strongly and sounds absolutely tremendous. You can pair it with either a 7-speed PDK or a 6-speed manual gearbox. With the PDK, it will do 0 to 62 in 3.8 seconds. This is the manual, which does 0 to 62 in 4.5, so it's a tad slower, but the stick shifter is definitely the more involving of the two. It's not without its flaws though. Everybody knows that the manual gearboxes in these cars is geared a little bit too long, and that means that it takes forever to get from say 2000 RPM up to the red line. You accelerate and it just takes that little bit too long. What it could do with is almost an extra gear between first and second. The PDK essentially gets rid of that problem, but it's slightly less engaging to drive. There's two things I love about this engine. The first is the sound. It's got this lovely howl as you get towards the red line. And the second is the responsiveness. It's super responsive. Porsche's turbocharged cars are very responsive, but their NA engines are just on another level. The steering, well, it won't come as any surprise to any of you that it's absolutely fantastic, really direct, really responsive, and with a ton of feel. So you know exactly when the front end is about to run out of grip, and it makes it such a joy to drive. It really is one of the most involving cars in that respect. The handling balance is sublime as well. It's a small car, the Boxster, with quite a short wheelbase, which might lead you to believe that it's quite snappy and quite unforgiving, but it's not. It's got a really nice balance to it. As for the ride, well, this car has Porsche Dynamic Chassis Control, or PDCC, which allows you to select the stiffness of the chassis. You can choose between normal, sport, and sport plus. So the car always feels nicely dialed into the road, no matter what the road surface is doing. You can have it as stiff or as soft as you like.
The Boxster is and has always been one of those cars you can drive on any occasion. Whether you're mooching around town, running errands, showing off with your friends, or sending it hammer and tongs down a B road simply for the thrill of it. And it is a thrill.
It is really good fun to drive. That's it, isn't it? That's the bottom line. It's a hoot. People think that the Cayman is superior or that the 911 is the ultimate Porsche, but you've got to give credit where it's due. This is a hell of a thing, and without it, Porsche might not be the company they are today. In fact, they might not even exist. Would I have it in this spec? Nope, I'd take mine in Guards Red with black wheels, please. But that aside, Boxster, we salute you.